Hey everybody, Mr. Gibson here. So for this assignment, you guys are writing another investigative CER. Okay, so this is one where the scenario or the question, it may not be something you already know, but you're going to investigate and find evidence in order to develop a claim, and then you're going to explain how that evidence supports your claim in the reasoning. So let's take a look at our scenario here. Well, first it says, let's open the STEMscopedia and just scan the topics. Okay, so we've got organisms, energy, and processes, autotrophs and heterotrophs, ATP, photosynthesis, and here's the whole equation. Okay, we've got cellular respiration and the whole equation and a big diagram of all the steps. And we got glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport chain, the cycling of matter and energy, talking about how photosynthesis and cellular respiration are a cycle because the inputs of one are the outputs of another. Endergonic and exergonic reactions, basically whether or not energy goes into a reaction or energy is coming out of a reaction. Okay, and then we get into bioenergetics. So, and then that will tell you what that is, more about ATP, anaerobic versus aerobic cellular respiration. That might be important today. We've got an equation for lactic acid fermentation, which is the kind of anaerobic respiration in animals. And we've got alcoholic fermentation, which is the kind of anaerobic respiration that takes place in plants. And then kind of a summary of all of it right here. Okay, so now we've skimmed it. Let's go back and let's look at our scenario. Okay, so here's the prompt. It says students are investigating the amount of energy that could be produced if oxygen is in low supply. So we're talking about how cells make energy if there's not enough oxygen. On day one, students are to squat with their back leaning against the wall and hold that for as long as they can. The students are told to breathe normally and then record how they felt. On day two, students were asked to do it again, but they were asked to hold their breath. Again, students recorded how they felt. Almost all students said that their legs were much more tired and shaky on day two. So your job is, with that going on that scenario, your job is to write a scientific explanation for how cells would be affected by a lack of oxygen when trying to produce energy. So first thing I would do is try and find your evidence. Try and find some evidence about how cells would be affected by a lack of oxygen. Okay, now remember, you're going to need 3 to 5 pieces of evidence, and your evidence must come from the STEMscopedia. Okay, it must come from the reading. It cannot come out of your own brain. Okay, I want you to cite your evidence. So if you find it on page 13, I want you to say type your evidence and then in parentheses put page 13. Now your evidence also needs to be in complete sentences this time, okay? So then you'll write your claim. This needs to be one sentence stating how cells are affected by a lack of oxygen when trying to make energy. And then in your reasoning, fully explain the process of how cells can make energy when there is a lack of oxygen, okay? So claim, one sentence. Evidence needs to be in full sentences, but you also need to cite your evidence from the STEMscopedia. And then your reasoning, you need to explain your evidence, tie each piece of evidence back to your claim. Also needs to be full sentences. Your reasoning should be about a paragraph. All right, so, and here's a rubric so that you guys know exactly what I'm expecting when it comes to how to write the CER and get a perfect score. Okay? All right, well, I'm going to turn you guys loose with this. If you are confused at all or need any help, feel free to email me and I'll help you out. All right, good luck, guys.